The Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series is closing in on the Fuel Finals in 2 more weeks. Next week, we head to USA Speedway for one final round of short track racing to determine the 12-car lineup. Tonight, it's Talladega Superspeedway, the 2.66-mile super speedway, built supposedly on an Indian burial ground. And as we close in on Halloween, Finian, sometimes this track has a little bit more to offer in terms of tricks and treats. This super speedway is wild. We've got a full field tonight. Your thoughts on the Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series as we trudge towards the playoffs this weekend?
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting race that these guys should be able to put on for tonight. Fairly short race, too. It's only 76 laps, a lot less than what we usually see. We usually see some laps counts more towards the 100 range, but there's not going to be a whole lot of time for these guys to have at this track, and it's going to be time to go pretty much at the get-go once these guys get green. I think that could lead to quite a bit of chaos, especially with this new draft package. It's very easy to move, and we're definitely going to see guys take advantage of it.
So, again, welcome to SimTV. My name is Kyle Heyer. I'm joined by Finian DeCuna tonight, as well as Thomas Bresci in the booth. Usually driving the number 24 Chevrolet Camaro, but Thomas, last week, or 2 weeks ago at Richmond Raceway, there was a couple argy-bargy moments, and this week you're serving a suspension, so we thought we'd have you join us up here in the booth. So first of all, welcome, and second of all, Talladega, always a fun racetrack. Who do you think's going to win this race tonight?
The pace car, possibly, I think. I have no idea. This, especially as we said already, this package there's so many variables that can, affect how this race plays out. Definitely a shorter race tonight, so I don't think fuel strategy is going to be as much of a concern. Fuel win is about 30 laps, 31 if you can stretch it. But, I mean, it's Talladega. What could possibly go wrong with that?
Finian, it's a full 43-car field tonight, or it should be at least 43 cars. So your thoughts, again, it's a 76-lap race. This is not a long race. We mentioned before that most races we've done at Talladega are usually 90 to 100, 110 laps. So if you're starting dead last, I said earlier, I don't think you can sit around and wait. There's 40 cars you have to pass, and it's going to take you a while to get through them. You can maybe play some pit stop strategy, but you're going to need fuel. So my thought, if you're starting towards the rear of the field, you better get going right away.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have some sort of game plan in motion, especially you want to also have some guys to work with. It definitely helps to have some people to align yourself with to move to the front. You're definitely going to need some help, even though it's much easier to move, but more cars are better than one.
Qualifying complete, and it's Jeff Ward on pole in the number 89. Nick Cohan shares the front row in his number 21. Let's take a look at our point standings coming into the night. 4 drivers locked into the Fuel Finals. Anthony Navarro, Jeff Ward, Nick Cohan, Tim Johnston, all with victories recorded this season. Of course, Martinez, Bresci, Evans, Lakatos, Chambliss, Pistorius, Ewing, and Shu are all in on points. Matt Bell, Thomas George, and on down to the point standings need to work their way in. Of course, Thomas Bresci told us beforehand, Matt Bell is not here tonight, so he's going to be dropping farther down the points.
As well as also Thomas George seems to be missing. We'll see if he does end up showing up towards the end of this, or hopefully he's already in and we just haven't noticed. But yeah, especially due to the fact that we have 43 guys ready for tonight, which is kind of amazing when you think about it, because that's including the fact that 3 drivers were suspended for this race: Greg Evans, Casey Shu, and Thomas Bresci.
So, Thomas, I have to ask you this question, because Richmond, we saw a lot of tempers boil over, and Richmond is a short track where you typically see that happen. Talladega is not typically a place where you see a lot of retaliation, but how much does that short track anger affect decisions on a super speedway?
I think it definitely can impact who you decide you want to work with, although, as we said before, yes, it's easy to kind of do things maybe on your own a little bit more than it has been previously with this aero package, but you still have to have friends out there. If you burn bridges with everybody, then it doesn't help you when it comes down to, the money lap. So you have to be very careful about how you want to kind of make friends or not make friends, or whether it's shuffling somebody out of line or giving someone an extra push or whatever it might be. But you have to kind of leave your options open, especially if you don't have any teammates to work with, or if you do. Obviously, the guys that have teammates, I remember the Disney Motorsports guys back at Daytona earlier this year were a super potent combo, and of course ended up winning the race, just biding their time and waiting till only a couple laps to go, and they marched right through the field. So having friends you can work with is super important, teammates or not.
Starting lineup, Jeff Ward, Nick Cohan on the front row. Ward from Mid-South, Cohan from Pennsylvania, as we roll through and start our pace lap. 76 laps on the board tonight, Finian. Well, let's go through the rest of our starting lineup.
Yeah, and moving on back to row number 2, we got Liam Sheen in the 53. Great qualifying effort for him. He was starting the inside lane in 3rd. Outside of him in 4th, we Matt Hollabun, the 02 from the Northwest.
In row number 3, Travis McQuistion in the number 93. He's from Ohio. John Poole in the 11. Lost a race in IndyCar last Thursday. He's hungry for a victory. He rolls off 6th.
Moving back to 7th, Mitchell Welker in the 76 has returned in the 7th place. Outside of him in 8th, Riley Thompson in the 58 has been having some really good runs as of late.
Thompson's teammate Hayden Pistorius starts in 9th. Timothy Johnson in the number 28 car. He's already locked into the finals, just going for another victory tonight. He starts on the outside of row number 5.
Back in the 6th row, we got John Boris in the 86, so he's starting in 11th. Outside of him in 12th, Jackson Rollard in the 10th from New Jersey. He's starting completing row 6.
Norm Pelletier, 13th, alongside Filip Radojcic in the number 14 car. He'll start off 14th tonight on the outside of row number 7.
And back in 15th, we got Tyler Hensley in the 44 to the inside for the Mid-South. Outside of him, John Rodden in the 33 will be starting in 16th.
17th place, Will Roberts in the 39 car, alongside Mike Hurley in the 69. He's 18th tonight. He's got a couple teammates in the field as well, all starting throughout the field, and I think we're going to see a lot of teammates working together tonight, especially the Toyotas we've seen be extremely loyal the last couple rounds.
And Derek Cassidy starting in 19th, and outside of him, Casey Lucatis starting in 20th.
Jared Dixon in the number 16, 21st. Brandon Key in the number 22 car has rolled off and had some really good runs lately. He rolls off 22nd tonight in the number 22 car.
JJ Odell will be starting in the 15 car in 23rd, and outside of him in 24th, John Martin in 12th.
Finian.
Hey,
Casey Lacatas with the meme scheme
that's
this
why
week.
you sent him that photo. God damn
I
it.
didn't know he was going to use that.
Okay, before we go green here, I want to give some context to it. Just as I was leaving after we finished the race last night, I come into the room here and I see my face sent to Casey Lacatas, and I asked him what was
I
that
didn't
about.
know he was going to do
and
that.
he was like, don't worry about it. God damn it.
All right, coming to the green, 76 laps, 201.6 miles in the Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series. If you want to know more about Mission 22 and their mission, check the link in the video description. 76 laps, 201 miles at Talladega Superspeedway. The Fuel Finals on the horizon. Green flag flies, racing at Dega. Everyone getting through the gears. The 89 getting a push from a Ford teammate. That's the 53, Liam Sheen, a one-off driver this week. He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. He's going to be extremely aggressive tonight.
Yeah, no, you see him already.
Yeah, he's peeling off. This is smart. I like this move. Get out of the way. You know it's going to get messy at some point. See another car peeling on the line. That's Mitch Welker in the 76. Meanwhile, McQuistion in the 93. Strong move to the outside to take the lead away.
He's wasting no time pairing up with his other Dizzy Motorsports teammate, the 21 of Nick Cohen. They're trying to build a lane to the outside. They see Matt Hollaba on the inside as well. A few other Chevys lining up.
Seeing lots of breaking up right now in terms of the field. Thomas, do you expect this to be 2 and 3 wide for most of the race, or do you think everyone will single file out and just run until the end?
Well, as we said before, it is a shorter race, so I definitely think the intensity level is a little bit higher, perhaps. Although it is, it's only a 4-lap difference from Daytona, but you definitely don't want to wait around too much, but you can wait around, obviously, with this aero package. And there's some guys I know that is the strategy. They know maybe they're in a spot in points where they're way into the Fuel Finals. They have to win a race, and they're not going to win the race in the first couple of laps. They've got to make it to the end. So that's the strategy for some of these guys.
Down the back straightaway, most of the field single filed out. Filip Radojcic all by himself in that number 14 scheme on the outside lane. Here comes the 10 of Jackson Robillard to join him. And I think we might see that outside lane start to build a few more cars. They were 2 and 3 wide in the mid-pack coming off of 2, but now we've kind of got this field separated, very distinct parts right now, Finian. Your thoughts? I think we're going to see this kind of conglomerate back together as you see the 89 jump to the outside group, and there's actually a trio of Mustangs and a pair of Camaros building the outside lane as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of that spreading out has to do with guys just trying to find their teammates, or either just entirely, as we saw with Liam Sheen and Mitchell Welker, just drop to the back and just kind of chill out here. Some guys being a little bit more patient in the early going of this race.
Yeah, and the big one, always a looming possibility. We got 43 cars in this race. If somebody makes a mistake at the front of the field, we just saw in the Elite Mods, that was a short track race with 20 cars running at the end. They still managed to wreck about 15 of them. You wreck at Talladega, you're not going to take out 2 cars, you're not going to take out 4 cars, you're taking out 15 to 20 with you. Route 3 and 4 now lined up double file. McQuistion and Ward leading the way. And big push from the 14 of Radojcic, shoving that 89 to the top spot. He's also locked in as that 89. He won by a massive margin at Kentucky Speedway. I think the 89 is certainly going to be one of the championship drivers this season. He drops in line on the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think this race is really going to be big for a lot of drivers that aren't locked in. This is another shot for them. If you're outside the top 12 in points, now is a perfect time to get yourself a win, to lock yourself in and not have to worry about the other few runs anymore. Make a big block to the outside in front of Radojcic.
Trying to manage lanes using that mirror. Thomas, how hard is it to gauge the runs on drivers behind you? And do you think this early in the race you should be swerving to block lanes?
Well, I mean, there's definitely some pros and cons to it, but as we see, like right now, the 39 of Will Roberts making a move on the top. He's got Anthony DeBarro behind him. But I was about to say, is it surprising to me how spaced out this bottom is, though now we see the 19 and the 58 drop down to the inside there. But that middle lane was really holding its ground. So it sometimes is okay to kind of work both lanes early in the race, but you know, it's a little more difficult, I think, with how this package is than it used to be to really sort of get up front and just control the race. So you can work both lanes, but you really do have to be careful about how you move back and forth, because one wrong move will, as we said already, take out a lot of cars.
Filip Radojcic, his best lap is a 48.820. That's 195 mile an hour average over the course of this lap. We're going to see that pick up as drivers push and shove more aggressively, but look at Anthony DeBarro on the outside line. He's got a speed that's 197.9 miles an hour, and he's got help from John Rodden in that 33. 3 wide for the top spot in the tri-oval.
You're already trying to go 3 wide for the lead. Some of these guys are not waiting around. We know DeBarro's aggressive here, and is already getting some help, and it seems that he's not lining up with his teammates at the bottom.
Maybe a little bit early to get everyone cycled in. They might, over the course of the race, get together.
I was going to say, his other teammate, the 26, Timothy Johnson's gone up high to try to join him.
Whoa, 30 cars in the fence out of turn 2. Runs up the racetrack, scrapes the wall. I don't think he's got any damage, but behind him, a spin in the background. And it's Brian Chambliss in the 45, and he pounds the wall on the inside barrier. Will stay green, but the 45 is going to be done for the night. And here's a look at how this happened. He was right next to Tyler Dolger in the 88. And was there contact? I think this... Oh, he just got hit from behind as there was some checkup. Someone else ran into the back of him. It was a blue car. The 45 spins on the back straightaway. This is live. Spins all by himself. No caution. He'll get off the racetrack. But trying to find the car that ran in the back of him, and it's just up the road. I think it's the 3 of Carl Schaff that got into the back.
Yeah, it was. You can see the damage to the nose. It looked like someone in front of Chambliss with an iRacing logo on the
I think that was the 59 of Evan Adams. Oh no, that's not the right car.
Further back, I think Gary Weaver.
Gary Weaver. 41. Nope.
Ewing then.
Ewing.
Yes.
Was it Ewing?
Look at the front of his car.
Ah, no. Yes, it is. The 32 of Ewing. We're just trying to find it. There's 43 cars in this field. Picking the right one's pretty difficult. But let's jump back up to the front. It's getting wild. Timothy Johnson, where was he? He just gained a bunch of spots up to the top spot now in first.
Yeah, somehow the rest of the order hasn't changed except that 28 car appearing in the front and will actually lead this lap. So solid job by the 28. Will fall in front of Jeff Ward. We're going to still in that outside lane.
And he will lead his first lap of the night. Already one of those drivers that's locked in. And some very different strategies going on, Thomas, for the drivers that are locked in versus the ones that are not locked in. We also have a couple drivers with one-offs tonight. So if you're a driver that is not locked in, are you willing to work with a one-off driver knowing that they're going to be up front all night long trying to win, or are you concerned that they might do something that would take you out?
I think it depends, honestly, on the driver. I think they're kind of in the same boat as you, where, you know, their goal is going to be to win the race. And like we said earlier, if you want to win the race, you have to make it to the end. So it can be beneficial to work with some of those guys. But you know, if they're not as familiar maybe with this style of racing, because maybe they're from the IndyCar side and they're more accustomed to the open wheel side of things, you kind of have to gauge, you know, how some of these guys are working together.
So that's the 86 of John Borst. Brandon Key in the 22 lined up on the outside, and DeBarro on the inside lane. But really the middle groove, he's dropped in behind the 86, down the back straightaway now. Now they've got 2 grooves that are fighting hard, but look at Shane Ewing up the middle. He's gained a bunch of spots lately. He was as high as 26th last lap, but he's going to be P15 or higher as he comes on through this lap. So getting a bunch of spots there. Right behind, that's the 69 of Mike Hurley. And looks like he started the night back in 18th, and he's kind of stayed most of the night, but 3 wide on the outside of Tyler Dolger, who's got a great looking Coca-Cola and Jack Daniels livery on that car.
Yep, well, from what I've heard, Coke and the whiskey go very well together.
Hopefully Talladega and the 88 go well together tonight. Jeff Ward drops in front again. He's been trying to manage lanes, but he couldn't get down in front of the 28, so he stays in line with Radojcic for now.
Currently Jeff Ward here looking off of his back bumper. He's got Radojcic all over, and Radojcic has not left this outside lane. He's just been kind of consistent there, giving some shoves to Jeff Ward. Ward's been the one that's been switching around quite a bit.
Well, Brandon Key in the 27 almost made contact off into turn 3. Shane Ewing up the middle. 3 Toyotas abreast in turn 3 and 4. And Tyler Dolger trying to slot in line. And taking a look at the manufacturers tonight, a lot of Toyotas in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, and a lot of those Toyotas belong to one team. A lot of those are Disney Motorsports cars.
Thomas, we were talking about teammates before the green flag tonight. What about manufacturer alliances? If you've got 2 cars in front of you and you're driving a Chevy, one of them's a Chevy, one of them's a Blue Oval, does it matter to you what the manufacturer is, or are you just interested in who's going the fastest?
I think it on iRacing, I don't think it matters quite as much what the badge says on the car, but I'll admit I've looked at it before. I've thought about it just occasionally, but it's definitely not at the top of the priority list. But you definitely do need to pay attention to, where the run is, because you have to be sort of selfish sometimes with these races, and you have to do what's going to be best for you in the end. And if that means going with another manufacturer, then so be it.
Yeah, which is a big difference from what happened in real life.
Oh yeah,
big difference. But here's Jackson Robillard in the number 10 car. He's 30 after starting 12th, and doesn't run a whole lot of the oval stuff anymore, but of course he's a competitor in the Real World Global MX-5 Challenge. This is far from an MX-5, but he's running really well right now. And a couple other drivers I wanted to keep an eye on tonight. Mitch Welker in the 76. He's back in 26th spot. Should be running up towards the front, maybe just being careful for now. But got 3 grooves forming, and the leader in the outside groove is a 32 of Ewing, and he's brought the 22 of Brandon Key with him in that 22. And we mentioned Brandon Key has been running really well in ORL lately. We'll see if he can bring that to fuel as well. The 88 of Tyler Dolger. Oh, the 14 spins! Huge crash in turn 3. This is going to be 3, 4, 5 cars. The 27 barrel rolling down the banking. And there it is on lap number 12, our first caution.
My face was involved in it.
Wow.
With Casey Licata. I saw him spinning around, but
DeBarro out early. What a dramatic crash in turn 4.
A lot of big names involved, of course, with this being in the front of the field. And you're talking about it earlier, with wrecks like this, there's not many places for a lot of people to go.
Yeah, the 14 was the first car I saw spin around. It was Filip Radojcic off the bumper. I think of Jackson Robillard. He wasn't quite clear, and Jackson couldn't back off because he had the 39 pushing him. And just, wow, look at the impact that some of these cars took. The 27 up and over, that's McQuistion in the 93.
Yeah, McQuistion's done.
The 88 of Dolger.
Radojcic is done.
Wow. We're going to have to look at this slowly because there were so many cars involved in it. But let's go back and just watch the 14 really get turned off the nose of the 10 car right here. And the 10 really can't back out a whole lot more. 14 gets turned, and then the 28's going to get damaged here as well.
Jeff Ward was also really lucky from not getting involved in this wreck.
The 39 of Will Roberts is torn up. I think Cohan was able to sneak on through. We'll take a look at his onboard. Yeah. The 50 car spins around behind. Look at the 14 and the 27 airborne upside down. We're going to better look at that in a moment. Licata spins. The 69 spun out. Look at the 27. Wow. Now we can get a better look at the 27's impact. A lot of cars in this. Rides up the barrier, and I have never seen a car flip like that before at Talladega. Yeah. Barrel rolling down the racetrack. Once, twice. Back on the side.
I'll tell you what, one onboard that's probably worth looking at, Evan Adams, I have no idea how he managed to weave his way through. I mean, we're talking about inches on about 3 or 4 occasions. He did an incredible job missing that wreck.
Here's a look. Evan Adams on board, rolling through 3 and 4. See that 14 get turned? See the 50 car go around? Wow. Wow! Holy cow. And managed to peek his way through a couple more incidents in the junkyard behind him.
You might need a new pair of racing overalls because, wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, here's the look from the gyro cam on board. I think this is the 50 car, Casey Licata. He gets hit from behind and spun around in the middle of the pack, and I think he actually escapes without a whole lot of damage here.
Most of the damage in his car is relegated to the rear. My face is intact still.
And then the 21 of Nick Cohan. Here's his onboard. Wow. Pulls right onto the apron, slipping and sliding. 93 and 88 get turned in front of him on the brakes and just tries to find the way through the wreck, and wow, he does a great job missing all that. I think we covered most of the views, but I want to take another look at it again from up above. And really, I mean, you can't put the blame on the 10 car, Finney. There was really nothing that he could have done with the 39 and the 88 right behind him as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things with this package. Everyone's running so close together that it's really, really hard to try to back out with someone in behind you, because if you back out, you're going to potentially get yourself wrecked.
14 gets turned, 28, 93, 39. The 86 of Borst was the one that got into Lakatos. But what a mess in turn 4. One more look at it. The turn 4 camera as the field comes on through. It's already probably going to be in progress. There it is. Wow! We gotta look at that in slow motion. Got long caution flex here. We get a lot of time to debrief. But here is the wreck as they come through 3 and 4. And watch this 27. Gets clobbered by the 93. Up and over. And we're also hearing that Liam Sheen had an interesting onboard. I think we'll watch that as well. Oh, the 0 Sam Crow and the 54 Martinez. And another car involved. I think it was the 15 of JJ Odell. We're right on board with Liam Sheen. Remember, Sheen dropped out at the beginning of the race. He dropped out of the 3rd spot. And it turns out that this might have been a good idea. Here's a look.
I'm amazed that he was actually able to see that far ahead.
Wow. And managed to stop. His car spinning. Wow, the 54 Martinez. Whoa. And he just comes to almost a dead stop. And woo, Martinez almost got into him there, but great job by Liam Sheen to slow down. All right, 1 to green here, lining back up for the restart, and Casey Lakatos is out front.
I was going to say, he better win now with that paint scheme.
So Thomas, now does the mindset change that we've had a big wreck early in the going? Does this change people's driving habits, or do you think it'll just pick up right where it left off?
I think it's definitely a bit of a reality check. I think, you know, especially when you're at the beginning of the race, you're like, all right, everything's going to be fine. And then, you know, you lose a dozen cars and you're like, oh yeah, we still got a long way to go here. We should probably just tone it down a smidge. But yeah, I mean, we had some big names in that. So this is, I mean, guys that were up front, obviously it happened at the front. So this is going to really change the complexion of this race. And now we're going to be going green on lap 16, which is right on the cusp of making this on 1 pit stop should we go green in the end. So that's something also that's probably in these guys' minds. Should it go green?
All right, so fuel strategy also a concern at this point. Lakatos stays out. He's got some damage to the rear bumper. Front looks fine. Yeah. There's a lot of damaged race cars, but only 4 are retired. I think we might add Will Roberts that let's make that 5. So we still have 38 cars in this race. I don't think 38 are competitive, but still a huge number of race cars.
Well, one thing we have seen with this package is that even with your car pretty torn up and damaged, at least aero-wise, you're not at a complete deficit, at least as much as it used to be. You can definitely continue out there with a pretty beat-up car. Don't know about the car that actually escaped me frame without his nose on, but you can take these cars to take quite a bit of damage as long as it's not to the engine and still be competitive.
Well, if you're Shane Ewing right now, I don't think you want to be pushing that 50 with all that damage he's got to the rear bumper. People are going to try to avoid that because it's so easy to hook a car in front of you around with he's got damage. So I think Casey Lakatos' time up front is probably short-lived. I don't think damage is going to be a super big deficit. As you mentioned, this new package has certainly helped with that. I guess we'll find out. Restart lap 16. Green flag back in the air.
It's a wheel spin off the 50. Lakatos slow on the restart for him, and a check up on that outside lane.
Christopher Matthews gets a great shove by the 89 of Ward, and that's going to also bring the 44 Tyler Hensley up, who has not had a great season, so looking for a good result tonight. And again, a win will lock you into the Fuel Finals, so tonight is a big if for a lot of drivers. If you can win, you can make it to the Fuel Finals and compete for a championship. Mitch Welker dropping out of line again.
I think it's a smart move, and I think Liam Sheen's already actually towards back, so those two guys look like they might come back together again. But Matthews leading on that outside lane here. See Lakatos and Ewing trying to get hooked up on the inside lane, as well as Nick Cohen and Matt Hallbaugh.
Yeah, Christopher Matthews again getting shoved from the 89 Award. He was actually a little bit sideways through turn 3. There's a 56 Norm Pelletier on the outside line as well, and the 21 of Nick Cohen will jump up and they will hook up together.
It looks like a lot of these guys are starting to ditch that 50 of Lakatos on the inside. I don't think Lakatos is really going to be able to push. Or sorry, be able to be pushed. I think he might be able to give some guys a push, though. That's in front of his car looking pretty much the way it rolled off the truck.
Yeah, Christopher Matthews is going to drop out of this group. Tyler Hensley slots into second place. He's got Lakatos behind him. And Thomas, was there just team discussions this week about Tyler Hensley and Casey Shue? Because obviously missing a teammate is certainly not going to help in a situation like this as we go 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, that's something we did talk about. This is also not the strategy that he said he was going to do. He's like, I'm going to chill at the back and I'll be there at the end. That is clearly not what is happening, but that is perfectly fine. But all three of us are, like our team, we've been doing NIS throughout the year, and he was actually the one who ran Talladega by himself, and Casey and I were spotting and crew chiefing. So he knows how to get it done, and he's really good. He just needs the luck. If he can get to the end, I have confidence that he has a shot at this. So I know his optimism for this race was really high.
Well, he just led a lap, which is another point in the points bucket, which will certainly help. Again, I think he's a driver that will probably need to win to get in. As we go down the back straightaway, the 89 and Jeff Ward getting a big shove from Shane Ewing in that 32, and Ward's going to pull ahead. He's been the dominant car. Seems like he's been at least the car that can carry the most momentum off into turn 3, and Ewing will back off into the corner. But it's a Ford Mustang and 3 Toyotas line astern through 3 and 4, then a Camaro, Camry, and Camaro on the inside, 3 by 3.
Yeah, Hensley's definitely in a situation where he really needs to win. He's not really close in the points picture. He's 30th in points, so really can use a win. I imagine he's going to do his best to try to fight for that spot, especially considering we only got 1 round after this until the fuel finals.
Again, next week we had a USA International, the exact opposite philosophy of Talladega. That's a rough and tumble short track. You're going to settle some scores there. You're going to have one last opportunity to get into the fuel finals and be one of those 12 drivers competing for a championship. But this week is kind of like a race car blender. Shake it up, mix it up, and see who pops out the other side. And right now we're 3 wide for the lead, and Ward gets sucker hold. He's going to lose a couple spots here as the 32 and 21 hook up on the outside lane.
He's got the 33 John Ronning coming to his rescue in the middle, though, and you see the 32 all the way in the outside lane, almost to the wall, and they're actually losing some time there. The inside lane starting to break away.
Matt Hollaba in the 0-2 now on the inside with help from the 22 Brandon Key. We talked about his ORL performances. They've been certainly picking up the last couple weeks, and same thing with fuel. And of course we have the TDR teammates, Hayden Pistorius and Riley Thompson, who are definitely due for a victory and couldn't come at Talladega with only 2 races left before the playoffs.
Now we'll see what the teammates working together. They're hooked up in the middle lane. They got the 33 and the 10 right in front, so the 89 right in front of them.
And you get such big runs with this new package now, that rear spoiler putting a much bigger hole in the air, and it has certainly kind of made the drivers have to recalculate their brains. Wouldn't you agree, Thomas, that with the old package, the low downforce, it was so hard to get a run that every run you got you had to take, but it seems like this you're able to be a little bit more conservative with them because you can build runs so much more easily.
Oh, absolutely. And again, especially if you have somebody to work with. I'm thinking back to Daytona when Casey and I were going for the win at the end of that race. The one thing we talked about, and we moved from like outside the top 20 to the lead in like 2 or 3 laps just because of how strong this draft is and working the lanes and being able to work with someone that you're comfortable with. So, you know, that's a huge part of this, but you know, you don't have to be, I think, as you said, you don't have to be as, you know, spontaneous, I guess, with taking every run that presents itself. Some guys are like that, though, and I think we've kind of seen that a little bit with, you know, with Jeff Ward, because I mean, he's been working both lanes, and when he sees a lane that's moving, he jumps up or jumps to the bottom or whatever, and he's been keeping himself at the front of the field because of it.
Side by side for the lead out of turn 4, it's Jeff Ward and Tyler Hensley that are leading the field right now. You see the TDR teammates on the outside. That's the 19 and the 58 as they come across the line to complete lap number 21. Let's take a look here, Finian. A lot of drivers have not come to pit lane yet this race, or at least Casey Lakatos hasn't. Other drivers are 9 laps in on their fuel tank. Yeah. And Thomas Pressey mentioned that it could be a one-stopper. It's close from here. So what are your thoughts on the strategy picture here?
Well, I can definitely tell you that Matthews and Lakatos are both at a disadvantage of staying out there. Caution does come out, because they're going to have to pit by themselves without any other help. That's going to potentially put them at a deficit, considering no one else is going to have to pit for quite a while. So, I don't know, Casey's going to have to kind of get lucky here with another caution. I'm kind of surprised he didn't pit with everyone else.
Track position, maybe. He stayed up there, so if he gets a couple cautions that fall his way, this will be a net gain for him. But again, how much does track position really matter in a restrictor plate track so early in the race?
Yeah, and I was going to say, he's also going to be hoping for a caution. Again, these guys have been pretty good all season long, so I don't really expect a whole lot more caution from these guys for most of the race.
41 of Gary Weaver. Actually, he had a kind of a funny paint scheme on the car. I don't know if this is the right one I'm supposed to be seeing, but it said he's running VR tonight. And virtual reality is certainly something that can be helpful at a plate track, being able to check your surroundings. Being on a single monitor is certainly difficult at a track like this, so maybe Gary Weaver able to check his surroundings a little bit more easily. Running 10th right now in his one-off event. See Timothy Johnson with the damaged front nose on that car, but he's still running in the lead pack. Shows you how little damage really seems to matter with this new package here.
Again, as long as that engine's in some sort of working order, you can still continue up there. It's going to be hard for him to push though with the damage to his nose, but at least he's still able to hang in the pack. I think that's really all that matters for the most part. You see Chamberlain close behind Jackson Robart, who's slowly working his way back to the front.
Through turns 1 and 2, closing on the 1/3 mark of this race. And we've had one caution so far. 10 lead changes at the front of the field. Tyler Hensley leads it right now. And he has led 6 laps of the 24 that we've done so far. So no real newcomers up here since the restart. I have noticed the 33 of John Rodden having a really good day right now. Drivers that are not towards the front that I would have expected is Mitch Welker in the 76. I would have thought he'd be a little bit more aggressive, but maybe just trying to play the smart game right now.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's trying to just pull off. I think especially to that caution coming out early, I think kind of proved for him how important it is. Just kind of lay back, at least at the beginning of it. So I think he's just trying to be a little bit patient here. You see that he's definitely still within that leading pack. He's just got himself single foul and far enough back in case something does happen, he has enough time to react.
Got a Sprite paint scheme on board. There's Fambro in front of him right there in the number 5. Then on the outside, that's J.J. Odell. He's missing the whole front clip of that race car and getting a huge push from Alec Martinez in the 54.
The damage to his nose was involved in that last wreck, but again, that's not affecting his car. It's pretty much most of the guys that were involved in that wreck hasn't really done much to them. I'm actually looking at the back of the pack here, and Nick Cohen is back in 29th. Yeah,
so Cohen has dropped out of the front running drivers for now, and maybe just to preserve the car. He's got a couple teammates around him. Norm Pelletier in the 56 has joined him back there, as well as the 88 of Tyler Dolger, all on the lead lap. Just kind of hanging tight for right now.
Even further on behind these guys, there's some stragglers in the background. Don Runkle, Christopher Matthews. I'm sorry, not Christopher Matthews, but Don Runkle, Steve Herring, John Boris, John Wilco are all kind of in this pack here, and they're 8 seconds behind the lead.
Will Roberts has called them night. The engine not working any longer on that number 39 after that collision. At the front, still double file for the top spot. Been relatively conservative. Drivers haven't really been taking massive runs and going anywhere with them. I do think that wreck has kind of calmed everybody down a little bit. I don't think single file racing really happens anymore with this package. I think the most calm you're going to get is double wide.
When it's most hectic, you'll see guys even go 4 wide. So it's really amazing how crazy this package can get when you need to, which is a good thing, because the old package really, for lack of a better word, it really sucks.
I definitely think it has made a lot of these guys calm down a lot more. Is just the lanes that we're seeing at the front of the field in terms of the order or what lane people are in, they haven't changed a whole lot. They've been pretty much the same. It's just if the top's moving or the bottom's moving, but no one's really shifting to try and make any ground as we go by a lap car. That's going to be the one of William Brickley. And I think it's kind of changed the mindset a little bit for some of these guys. Also, as I say that, the 89 drops down to the bottom. But, like, Cohan barely missed that first wreck, and I think that was kind of a reality check for him, so that's probably why he's hanging out in the back.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's too is remember how Bresky was saying that these guys are almost on the cusp of making it on one pit stop. At least guys that pit under that last caution. So I think those guys might be trying to make it so that they can at least get to that point before all hell starts breaking loose. So that's, I think, what was on a lot of these guys' minds and why they're running so conservative.
Yeah, and let's be clear. All hell will break loose.
Yeah.
Right now, this is totally calm before the storm. We're going to see everybody probably mostly cooperate until we get to lap 60, 65, and then once we get to lap 70, it's going to look like a tornado hit the racetrack. There's going to be cars all over the place, and we've seen in the past that you don't need to form a distinct line to go anywhere. You can pick a partner or two and go to the front if you know what you're doing, if you make the right moves. You don't need to be glued to the back of someone's bumper. You can make moves all on your own if you're fast enough, if you set up the driver. And in the past, I'd say you had to be leading on the last lap to win the race. You can come from 5th, 10th, 15th on the last lap now with the way this package is set up, and that's what I love about it right now. Across the line, complete lap number 28. Casey Lakatos is hanging tight, but he's got to be starting to run out of fuel here. He's almost 30 laps into the run.
Yeah.
I expect him to have to hit pit lane here pretty shortly.
He's going to have to. He has not pitted since dropping the green flag, so I think he's going to have to come to pit road within the next 5 or so laps, I believe.
Also, I guess that brings the question, do you think his teammate will come with him? Because if he goes by himself, he's going to be in big trouble.
He needs his teammate to come with him. I think if they both come in, I think they'll be fine. They might lose a little bit of time, but wow, both of them.
Did you see the move that the 44 and 33 did on the 89? They just split him 3 wide, and now Warden's in the middle of the racetrack with no help, and Hensley goes back to the front. And now look at the TDR teammates on the outside lane, Pistorius and Thompson. They got to get clear of the 89 if they want to drop back down, or else they might get stuck all out there on their own without any way to advance.
Yeah, but we're going back quickly to Casey Lakatos here. If he has his teammate come and help him out, I think they should be fine. They might, like I said, they might lose a little bit of time, but overall it shouldn't be too bad. And remember, Lakatos isn't entirely clear. He's around 8th in the points, so he can't afford to have a really bad finish like that if we were to get put a lap down and we don't get a caution.
Yeah, he's only 56 points above the cut line coming into tonight. And again, not just standard point systems here, Finian, so you can certainly lose a lot in one go.
Another thing is that we might see this intensity sort of pick up here in the next couple laps, because we are coming to 7 laps away from the halfway point. There's halfway points here, so for guys that points are still sort of relevant to them, that's important. That can be the different, that's a couple spots on the racetrack if something goes wrong later in the race.
Absolutely. Halfway points, another big consideration. Any bonus points you can get are certainly going to help. Look at this mid-pack battle right now. Gary Weaver and the 22 of Brandon Key, they're 3 wide with the TDR teammates, and then the 32 of Shane Ewing following in line. And you mentioned the aggression. This is basically a stage, and the aggression picking up certainly going to happen here. But how much are you willing to put on the line, Thomas, for halfway points? Is it worth crashing your car over?
Well, it depends. I remember going back to Daytona, I remember when myself, Tyler, and Casey, we were hanging out outside the top 25, and we were, there had been a caution earlier in the race, similar to what happens tonight so far, and we kind of weighed the prospect of, do we want to get up into this and try to get some halfway points? And since the field was 2 and 3 wide, there's a lot of movement going on, we're like, you know what? This isn't worth it as we see the 50 finally come to pit road.
Yeah, 50 Casey Lakatos down on pit lane. To be a lonely sight to see, and he's really going to have to hope and pray for a caution. He's got Christopher Matthews coming with him. Maybe they could work together to try to maintain some pace, but it's just going to put them on a back foot.
They can try to work together, but Matthews is a little bit further behind, so they might lose time waiting for him. So I don't know.
Different strategy. Could work out. We'll see how the race plays out, though. Gary Weaver in the 41s worked his way to the front of a group. That's Shane Ewing pushing him. Starting to see some drivers kind of singling out here, but they're certainly going to get way past halfway before they come down pit lane. So right now, the focus is on the halfway points. I think the drivers that are locked in, especially Nick Cohan and team, are not going to try to get those halfway points. They don't really matter right now. They're already locked in. They're good to go. It's the drivers around them in the points that really need them. Alec Martinez, he's well safe, but halfway points wouldn't hurt, so there's no reason for him not to try to get up there and get them. John Rodman is 33's having a really good night. Started in 16th, running 2nd right now. And has led 2 laps tonight. Best lap 196.369 miles an hour. I wouldn't be surprised to see an average lap over 200 later in the race when people start to push really hard.
They actually see Chris Matthews come out of the pits. He's going to be put 1 lap down. He should be able to pull up at the back here. As if you see a big dive from Shane Ewing to the inside of Gary.
Great move. Elevator top to bottom will pull even with the 41 and take the lead away in turn 3. Casey Lakatos is just up the road. He sees a hungry Hornet's Nest behind him. His perfect situation right now would be if we were to get a yellow right now.
At least on the bright side, he should be able to easily form up with this pack, at least catch someone to stay with them. Whoa! And
that's Evan Adams, I think, out of the groove in the 59. I think. Pulled out of the groove there. Lap 34 of 76. Again, I think lap 39 will be the official halfway point. Yep. And again, points awarded to the top 10 finishers, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. You've got so many different series, it's hard to keep track of who gives how many points out for how many positions. But look at this. Pistorius and Thompson rocket to the front. The teammate duo with rookie stripes on the bumpers flying forward, and they got a strong stranglehold right now. Gary Weaver in third.
A nice little mini 2-car tango between them, able to push themselves to the front. Can't push for too long, but you can definitely push enough to get yourself in the lead, and we saw these two hook up and do exactly that.
And Jeff Ward wasn't satisfied riding in about 5th or 6th spot, so he jumps out of line. He brings Tyler Hensley. No, Hensley drops back on the inside. Shane Ewing goes to the high side, though. He'll bring the 89 of Ward with him. And I see the 69 of Hurley, and there goes Alec Martinez jumping up to the high side as well, getting himself set up for this battle in 3 laps to the halfway point.
Martinez getting ready to make a run to the front here. We'll see what he does. He's been getting more and more aggressive as this run's gone on. Again, especially as we approach that halfway point.
Side by side for second place right now. It's Hayden Pistorius in control, Riley Thompson in second. Remember how good Thompson was at Richmond a couple weeks back? Maybe he had a car that could have won that race. Things didn't work out, ended up crashing out of that event. But here comes Shane Ewing in the 32 with a big push from the 89. And we'll see if they can get there by the start-finish line. Maybe not quite. Gonna be close. Here he comes with a big push. And Shane Ewing will lead that. Ooh, no, I think it still was Pistorius by just a little bit. But now, the draw for halfway points. As we look at the points as they came into the night, Pistorius is only 22 points above that cut line. These halfway points would be hugely important for him.
Can be they are, so we'll see if he's able to get enough to really boost himself from that cut line, at least for Pistorius. For Thompson, it's a matter of getting a win to get himself in the playoff picture.
We've only had one caution slow the progress so far. Since then, it's been clean and green. 15 lead changes in the first 36 laps of this one. To be 3 laps to the end of the halfway point. 37 completion. Thank you. Math is hard. 2 laps to the end of the halfway point. Shane Ewing going to use that lane on the outside. And here comes Alec Martinez in the 54. Again, has not won. I don't think he's won a race this season. But he's sitting in good on points, 250-something to the good. So he's in a good position to point his way in, but he's been good enough to win a couple races this season. And I would expect, I think he finished second at Richmond a few weeks ago, even though he almost didn't even run that race. So he's teammate-less right now as Casey Lakatos is a lap down, but maybe he can latch on with some of these other Toyotas like John Rodden and get some halfway points and ensure that he's good. I think he should be mathematically fine regardless. Anyway, Pistorius and the 32 of Ewing side by side. 1 lap to halfway. And here comes, the 21 on the outside lane bringing a group with him. That's Brandon Key getting a big shove from Nick Cohen.
Also Jackson Hobart in the middle of that. They're starting to make their move as we're under a lap to go to the halfway point. Guys trying to make their final last hurrah, at least for now, to get those points.
And Cohen backs out, and so does the 56 Norm Pelletier. So that will hurt the 22 car, but Pistorius still leads on the back straightaway. 2 more corners and then a big straightaway before we're going to assign halfway points. And for Pistorius, this will be an extremely important moment right here.
Yeah, and it's 20 points that you get awarded for leading at halfway. And remember, 100 points is a win, so that's not something to scuff at. But he's not in the clear yet. Here comes Shane Ewing with a big run on the outside. I don't think it's going to be enough. No, Thompson's getting all over the rear of Pistorius, and Pistorius will lead at halfway.
Wow. All right, along the top of your screen is the top 10 as they came across the line. Hayden Pistorius was the one by 72 thousandths of a second over Riley Thompson. Then it was Gary Weaver, Shane Ewing, Rodden, and Ward, your top 6. But that's extremely important for Pistorius. He just doubled his points margin over that cut line heading into next week at USA. So a strong move for that 19 car. Thomas, fuel situation, what do you expect? Green flag stops coming up, I would assume, not too far away. So what's your move, especially if you're in this front pack?
I think the way the race has been playing out, I think you have to try and get as far as you can. If you can get to the end of 46, you should be good on 1 stop. For some of the guys that were maybe up front, like leading, like the 89 to the 44, it's a little bit more difficult. Well, obviously, it's a lot more difficult to save fuel, so it's going to be more difficult for them to get to that ideal mark. So they might be in the 43 or 4 range, depending on also how much, if they were thinking about that, how much they saved potentially during that caution. I know some guys are a little more conscious about that than other people, but so it could, I think your 43 to 46 is your, the 88 just got spun into turn 3.
So the 88 of Tyler Dolger spun out, and he's actually collected it and is rolling again.
Great catch.
But we'll see how this got triggered here. in line in front of the 28. I think he's going to, ooh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
88 and 28 getting together, and that's an unlikely combination of cars to have an issue, but he did manage to keep that car. Wow, Mitch Welker almost clobbered the 88, but Dahlgren did a good job keeping it off the racetrack, so he will continue, but he's going to head down pit lane, and I think a frustrating night for Tyler Dahlgren. And here comes Casey Lakatos. Remember, he's still fighting for a free pass spot, pushing the 22 Brandon Key, and he's got his teammate in the 54 of Alec Martinez right here as well. So Lakatos trying to get his race back on track. He's got a teammate and another Toyota Camry lined up with him.
Yeah, I was just showing you that Lakatos, even though he has damage, there's no slouch. You can see everyone lining up the inside. I think we're going to start seeing green flag pit stops fairly soon here.
Trying to make it to the end of lap 46 to make it an even 30 to the end of the race. But taking a look right now, Finian, you're going to have to push it a little bit more than 30 if you want to make it there.
I think, I don't know, if you can push it a little bit more in this run and push it a little bit more in the later run, you should, extending the range, I think you should be able to make it. It's going to be close. I think we're going to see if they can make it or not, depending on how far they go on this green flag stint.
Back straight away now, lap number 42. It's Jeff Ward and Alec Martinez leading the way. Brennan Key in third, Thompson Ewing, the rest of your top five. Still only one caution night, 19 lead changes at the front of the field, and our first green flag pit stop's about to start. And we typically see a lot of issues on green flag pit stops because the brakes that they run at these racetracks are a lot smaller than they usually run, because the thought is you're not going to use them a whole lot. That leads to a lot of issues getting slowed down and staying in control.
Yeah, especially in a big pack like this. Don't forget, we got almost 30 guys in this lead pack. In fact, we have 29 cars. Actually, no, we do have 30 cars in this lead pack. So yeah, it's a lot of guys here, and if one guy makes a mistake or is not paying attention, they can easily take on the whole field.
John Poole in this number 11 car was denied a victory at Auto Club Speedway last Thursday in the IndyCar Series. The way the caution fell at the end gave the win to Andrew Wood instead of Poole, who was actually the leader at the time of caution. He's got a big run to the outside lane. You see a lot of people forming up, getting ready for pit stops here.
Yeah, there was a big checkup on the inside lane. He took advantage of that. He's not waiting around. He just decided to go to the outside lane by himself.
And I think we're starting to expect cars to hit pit lane very soon.
There we go.
And Shane Ewing popping out of line. He's going to be the first one to bite. And it looks like Hensley's coming as well, and a bunch of drivers. Oh, the 32 is out of control! And he's going to crash into Jackson Robillard, and the 21 of Cohan has to run wide. And will that be a penalty for the 21?
That's going to be a penalty. He left off the pit lane to try to avoid it. Now, I don't know if he'll get it cleared or not. Well, that's
the question, is will he get that cleared because he was avoiding an accident? I think he'll be... Oh, crash behind him. Car spun around. That is... I think that is Derek Castor in the 08 car?
That is. No, it is not.
That's the 69 of Mike. No, who is that? That's the Jared Dixon in the 16, maybe?
I don't know who the hell that is. Oh.
The yellow car?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
All right, so they went around for a bit of a loop entering pit lane. And how did this happen? And off the bumper of Mitch Welker, maybe? Yeah, just turns across the nose, and Welker's offset to the left there, Phineas. So what's your thought on that? Because, I mean, typically the idea is you got to be as far right as you can be until the stall, but you also got to be careful you're not turning into somebody. So what's your thoughts?
I think that's kind of, I think that's more just an incident thing again, because you're all coming down side by side on the pit lane. And obviously you can't know where everyone else's pit stall is, so unfortunately those guys getting involved with each other, but got us doing a shove to Martinez as more guys have come down on this next stint of stops, but I think it is an interesting strategy because these guys really trying to run the tank out, and I think they should be able to make it.
Yeah, Martinez has a little bit of a safety net here with his teammate right behind him, being able to push him if he runs out. If he can make it to lap 46, I mean, this would be a 32-lap stint. That would mean that Alec Martinez is good to go to the end on fuel no matter what, so he might, that extra lap.
God is coming back in.
Yeah. That extra, so I think Casey is abandoning his strategy as the 54 sideways onto pit lane, but he falls into his box.
That was amazing.
Excellent job.
Wow.
Wasn't that cool, Thomas?
Yeah.
I think this group, though, right here, these guys are probably in the best situation because I think you can make it 31 laps from what I saw in NIS. I guess it was a week or two ago. I can't really remember, but it's 31's doable, but you definitely have to kind of plan it into how you run the race. So I think this group right here, if we stay green, is going to be your group to watch. I would be surprised if anybody else that came in previously makes it.
All right, so I think we've made our bed. Now we got to lay in it here as the teammates come off of pit lane. I think the 50 strategy is just to bail on his own race and help his teammate. I'm on board with that strategy. The 50 is the only other teammate that this 54 has, and his race has already gone down the hole. So I think he's going to just help this 54 try to win this race. I like this abandonment of his original strategy. Help your teammate out, see if you can get the team a victory. Meanwhile, Matt Hollema is sitting in second place, and they will lead off of pit lane. But where's Jeff Ward? Rocketing out of turn 2 at 189 miles an hour, and they're going to come up on these guys extremely fast.
Yeah, if they can get hooked up in time, they should be able to get up to speed pretty quickly now. Indeed, looks like they should be fine.
Yeah, so it looks like an excellent pit stop strategy by the 54, the 02, and the 71, as well as the 11.
It's going to get interesting here. Going to be a big checkup on this inside lane.
He has to lift. I don't think he can just drive right through him. So that's going to check up Jeff Ward and team. And look on the outside lane. That's a 56 and 28. And look who else has joined the party. Liam Sheen, the one-off driver in that number 53.
Yeah, we've seen Sheen in the past. He's been very aggressive at quick tracks. He's been very conservative for the most part of this first part of the race. I think he's saving his aggressiveness for the end here when it really counts, and I think now that we're about to see it start to shine.
Onto the back straightaway now, lap number 47 of 76. About 25 minutes of racing left if we were to go green to the end. All right, we've run for almost 50 laps, Thomas. Do you have a prediction on who's going to win this race? Because I think we've gotten a pretty good sampling of people's pace tonight.
I think the pace is definitely a good indication, but I'm more concerned with the fuel situation. Again, I think anybody in that group that just came down on at the end of lap 45 is in a really good spot, but I mean, there's no telling we could have another big wreck here as well because these groups kind of work back together, and that's what we saw at Daytona. We had a wreck earlier in the race, and then things settled out for a while in the middle of the race, and we had another large wreck towards the end of the race, so it's entirely possible that something else happens. But if there's people that are thinking about fuel, then maybe it'll be a little bit more tame, as you know, that's entirely possible. And also, for what it's worth, going back to Casey Licata's, he is the first car a lap down, so why not just, I mean, if he stayed on the racetrack, then he has a chance of, you know, he's going to be out there by himself running slower, losing more time. Why not just pit, stay with the pack, and hope if there's a caution, then you're in position to get that lucky dog and be right back in this race. And he's got great pace as well.
Absolutely. I think that's another good point that we didn't mention before, Finian, is that he is in the free pass position and will be able to stay there because he's running fast enough to stay with the leaders. Now, John Poole leads this race, but he's been struggling to get out of the corners. I'm not sure what's going on with the 11, but he got a big shove down the back straightaway off Alec Martinez, and enough to give the 54 a pretty big dent in that front bumper. He's going to peel off to the inside and give Martinez that row back, but yeah, the 89 car's got a big shove from the 22, and the 89 and 22 are working very well together right now, I must say.
Yeah, this is really a big time for a lot of these guys to try to find a teammate, or, well, not even really a teammate, just find someone else that they can potentially rely upon towards the end of this race. Someone that's good at pushing and will easily stay in behind you, at least for the most part. Once it starts getting final few laps, who knows what's going to happen. Top
15 cars in a breakaway field, then from 16th on back, there's another big group back to 23rd spot, and then 24th on back is the last and final group. But Jackson Robillard is sitting 14th. Look at the run he's got. Big draft on the outside groove, and he's going to gain a few spots here. Car out of the groove. Is that the 54 of Alec Martinez? Looks like it is.
Yeah, I think he's
shuffled out of line.
Dropped to the back. Not sure why.
Go back and take a look at the exit of turn 2 as to maybe why he got shuffled out of that spot.
Maybe he's running hot.
Could be. He's got some front end damage. I think he slid up in front of the 53. He just bailed. Got out of the all on his own. So maybe just planning something different. But Licata has stayed up towards the front of this group, so it looks like these two guys, their strategies have separated again.
Yeah, at least for now. Again, they have a little bit of breathing room. They've 26 laps till the end of the race to try to, I guess, find each other and hook up. But we'll see how that plays out. One thing I'm amazed by is we look back. I want to take a look at that next pack, the 24th on back. Like Nick Cohen, these guys are 20 seconds behind the leaders.
Yeah, and this is way too big of a gap to make up under green. They need a caution. And there's some really good cars in this group. Mitch Welker in the 76, Nick Cohan in the 21, Don Walker Jr. in the 00. There's a lot of good cars in.
Can we check the pit road?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happened to Cohan. Cohan did have to serve that penalty.
That's really unfortunate for Cohan. Again, had to avoid a sideways car coming onto pit lane, and because he has to serve that penalty, he now finds himself back in 24th.
And I think it's going to sting even more than that kind of started with his own teammate, 32, Shane Ewing.
Liam Sheen right now in the 53 up in second place. Again, this is a one-off event for him. And this is, if you're going to only show up to one race a year, this is the race you're going to show up for, because everybody has a chance to win, and he's looking really solid right now.
And the thing is, though, too, if you're not qualified in on the amount of starts,
I love that paint scheme so much.
That's an angle. That's a camera view there. My face all up in the camera. But yeah, if you don't have the required amount of starts, even if you win the race, you're not going to be able to qualify for the playoffs. So for Sheen, this is really about winning this race.
Well, I think that gives you a little bit of extra flexibility, and you're willing to be more aggressive. Because if you crash, you crash. It's over. You'll forget about it by tomorrow. If you're vying for a fuel final spot and you crash out, you're going to be thinking about it for a long time. The 53 goes to the top spot, and to the lead goes Liam Sheen. Norm Pelletier's having a good day in this 56 car as well. Been really impressed with his speed. And he's got his teammate lined up with him. Matt Hollabuz's also having a good day in that 0-2. He's had a couple heartbreakers so far this season in a few different races.
And really, for the most part, was looking through this kind of group of cars here. Oh boy.
Jeff Ward was getting a draft off that lap car. That's the one of William Brickley. And they're going to put him yet another lap down. That will put him 2 laps down. Calm before the storm, Thomas. I think we've got a distinct front 15 cars. I mean, you think we're going to go green all the way to the end, or you think we're going to get a yellow before then?
I think it's entirely possible. I think, especially again with the fuel situation, there's people that are either really close to making it, or they're going to be a lap or 2 short more than likely. And that also we saw when the 54 jumped out of line. That may have been, he was one of those last people to pit, but he was at that 31, 32-ish lap range. So maybe he's just trying to get himself in a position where he can save just a little bit extra fuel just in case. And if something happens at the end, maybe like where we have a green-white checkered, he has the ability to stay out and maybe not have to worry about that as much. But it's a little bit more calm than I think we expected. But obviously, the green flag pit stop tends to split things up, as we've seen. Now we have 2 packs that are almost half a lap apart, it feels like. So, we're definitely still some moving and stuff going on as we see Brandon Key moving to the outside to try and get the lead from the 53 here. But it's a little more calm than I think that maybe we were planning on seeing.
Yeah, definitely one thing going off of your point, the leader of this pack is definitely going to be the one that's not saving fuel. So, we're already saying that the fuel picture looks close, and especially if you can actually pull up the stick graphic again. You can see some of these guys are a lot better off than others. And some guys have already gone 12 laps, some 11, and some 10. The guys that are 10, they're looking the best out of anyone as far as going the distance. Guys who've gone 1 or 2 laps more, it might not seem like a lot, but that's a lot, especially if you're out here leading this pack. You're not going to be saving anything.
So one of the things we noticed this year with this 2019 package, Finian, is how much more fuel these cars burn with that big blade on the rear trunk. These cars were a lot more fuel efficient on the old package. Even with the more power that they had, the restrictor plate restricted them down to that level of power, and that little spoiler they had meant that those cars are pretty slippery through the air. These cars are like driving a refrigerator through the air. They are not aerodynamic, and they're getting a lot less fuel mileage than they used to before. So for some drivers who haven't done a whole lot of plate racing since the update and since the package change, might not be aware that they're burning a lot more fuel than they have in the past. They have to keep that in mind for these next 20 laps. So we're going to get 20 to go when we come back to the line. Liking this outside lane though. Brandon Key, the 89 of Jeff Ward, the 56 of Norm Pelletier. I think that 89 to me has looked the best. He's locked in, he's safe, but he's been the most aggressive out of the drivers that have been locked in. Of course, the 27 of Anthony DeBarro out early in that lap 15 accident. So I'm not really thinking that the 89 is necessarily the one that is going to win this race, but I think he's got probably the best shot of anybody that's already in fuel finals. Confident.
Across the line, we're going to have 20 laps to go left in this race.
20 to go. That's just over 40 miles to end this race. As we walked into tonight, we had 76 laps to complete, 201.6. We do have the possibility of an overtime finish or 2.
If we do go into overtime, everyone definitely has to come down on fuel.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be the case, which I think a lot of drivers might just be banking on, that we get in overtime situations, that they can't pit and everyone else will have to come. But 19 to go this time by, and Liam Sheen has been commanding the last few laps, and he has led 4 so far.
You can see these these guys start to single file out. I think they're gone into eco-save mode, but again, I think if you're going to have to pretty much save from the beginning of the run. I think now is a little bit too late to try to start saving, depending on how much you got left. So we'll see, but it definitely started to calm down a lot more. The outside started to die off.
Another lap car, that is the 0 of Sam Crow. They're going to drive right by him. He'll stay on the apron. And I think with 18 laps to go, we're going to do a Sim TV sound search. We'll be back with you in just a moment. "16 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Liam Sheen leads the way. Thomas, you talked about calm before the storm. We've talked about lining up with teammates, but it's kind of mixed up. I don't really know if we've got a group of teammates up towards the front. So your thoughts on the last 15 laps, how you think they're going to go? And you've been talking the whole time about the fuel situation. I mean, have some of these drivers already committed to pitting again, do you think?
I think maybe. I'm not sure. It definitely didn't look like there were a lot of people that went into like a hardcore fuel save mode, which I think if you were going to make it, especially if you were one of those first two groups that pitted, you had to, I think, as soon as you got out of the pits. You're right, there's not a lot of lots of teammates up front. The only group really is...
Whoa, behind him, sorry to cut you off there. The 0-2 of Matt Hollaba had to jump out of the groove to avoid getting run over by the 71 of Gael Brooks. So that was a scary moment there on a turn 2, but sorry to cut you off. You were saying, Thomas?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I was going to say the only group that I'm seeing really up here is the 19 and the 58. They've been very quietly just hanging out at the back of this lead pack, and those guys are, not just tonight, but always, those guys are really, really good teammates, and they work really, really well together. That is a dangerous combination as we continue. And the 28 has made his way up here as well, and of course with his teammate, the 56 of Norm Pelletier, they're up here, so people are starting to find each other in the closing stages of this race, but man, the fuel question is still up in the air. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea.
All right, Finian, you got to pick one driver. Go for it.
Let's see. I'm kind of just scanning through here. Honestly, I think I'm going to have to go with from what we've seen in the past with him. He's been very aggressive at these super speedway tracks, and once he gets into the lead, it's hard to try to pry it away from him. So I think he might be the one that walks out away with this.
I'm going to pick the 54 of Alec Martinez. I know he's a Sim Motorsports driver, no bias here, because he was one of the last drivers to pit. He's the most good on fuel of anybody, and he's been hanging out in the draft just staying out of the way. I think he's saving fuel. I think he's good at the end. I think everyone else, I think they all have to pit, because I have not seen anybody else even try to save fuel yet. I think they're committing to another stop here. I think they're going to go to the last couple laps and just hope that the pit stops make everybody freak out. So I think we're going to see some very late race pit stops. I think the 54 goes to victory lane. 22 a little bit high out of turn 2. That might leave Jeff Ward with a gap up the middle. He's going to get a push from the 32, but no, he's going to stay in behind. There's a group of cars. That's Matthews in the 92. I think that's also the 59 of Evan Adams, as they're going to go another lap down. Coming back to 12 laps to go. We're running out of time, running out of miles, running out of laps. Liam Sheen leads the way. He's led 10 laps in this race. Can he lead another 10?
Also running out of fuel for these guys again. Still, that's a really big question mark in the air. Don't entirely know how much fuel they got left in the tank. Honestly, it looks like they're gonna have to stretch it a bit. Like 34 laps.
You know, any other racetrack, I would say they could save fuel, but it's very difficult to save fuel at Talladega. I just don't think that they've done it. The only car I've seen even attempt to get out of the groove is that 54 Martinez. I don't think anybody else is good on fuel, other than the cars that came with Alec, which I think would be John Poole, Gael Brooks, and I think there might be one more in this, Matt Hollaba in the 02. I think those are the drivers that can go to the end. I think everyone else has to come down. We'll see how it plays out, though. 11 to go this time by. You see everyone getting a little bit more aggressive, pulling a little bit tighter in the corners. Brandon Key has also had a phenomenal night. Regardless of how he finishes, I think he's got to be proud of how this night's gone.
Although I'm sure he'll be only really proud once he gets home with a win here. He's got a really solid shot leading that outside lane. He's got Shane Ewing in behind him.
And Tyler Hensley for the 44. This has been a pleasant change of pace for the 44, running up inside the top 10 for a lot of the night this evening. Again, he started back in 15th, running in 7th at the moment in his Chevrolet Camaro, and just needs a little bit of luck. And Talladega isn't usually a place where you're hoping for luck. Usually, I mean, or actually, I shouldn't say, it shouldn't be a place where you rely on luck, because most of the time, you got bad luck here. So for Hensley, I think this would be a strange place to turn around the season, but it's possible it could happen.
Well, definitely, he's going to have to do something, because, again, he's 30th in points. If he wants to have a chance of making the playoffs, he needs to get a win pretty much here. Or if that, a really solid finish to at least try to boost him up with the points.
10 laps to go at the front of the field. Liam Sheen leads the way. And how about the 50 of Casey Lakatos? Still the car in the free pass position. He's begging for a yellow flag to get back on the lead lap. Stuck down in 32nd place. There's 31 cars in the lead lap right now, and that would tell me if we get a late race caution, it's going to be absolute chaos.
He's also kind of hoping to come back too, that if they don't get a caution, that at least guys have to come back down on pit road, because that means he can just stay out and try to pass them on the track. So he won't gain a whole lot of positions, but definitely will try to gain some. And again, if anyone can stay on the track, it's really Lakatos, Martinez, and some of the other guys coming down.
Coming back to 9 laps to go, and we really don't have a massive pack. Only 15 cars in this front group, and it's 24 back from the leader to Mitch Welker, who's leading that second group.
There was a second and a third pack. They've kind of, at some point, not entirely sure when, they actually converge together. This is the pack that you're looking at. They're really, they're very spread out in a single file line.
Yeah, they're all stuck. And again, a caution would change everything, but for these guys, they're stuck where they are right now. We might see 2 photo finishes, one at the front and one for about 16th spot. Brandon Key jumps up in front of Jeff Ward on the back straightaway. Liam Sheen falls to 3rd, but he's got help from the 50. Lakatos, these two have been an unlikely combination on the bottom groove. They've actually been making quite a bit of time. How about that? If Lakatos would have pushed the 53 to a win, that would be an interesting way to finish it out.
Really would be fun. I think those guys have really many.
Here we go, pit stops. I told you they were coming, Finian. Ewing and Pelletier and more all coming down pit lane.
I didn't say you're wrong.
I know you didn't.
Whoa,
Ewing 56 in really hot on the pit lane.
So was a 32, and he made a mistake the first time at entry. He still came in hot, but it's all good. So these guys definitely not feeling that they have enough, and where does that leave everyone else?
Well, so that's the question now, Thomas. We've seen that first pack come. I think everybody comes. What do you think about the 54 and the 50 and all those drivers that came in later? I mean, you would think that they should be good, but, I mean, would they be willing to stay out, or do you think they're going to just try to short fuel it and go?
I think those guys that pitted at the end, like the 54, I agree with you when you said earlier he's the guy that I think is going to win this race. One of those guys in that last group, because there's only a couple of them, and they've been relatively patient here, so I think they are in that mindset of all they have to do is just chill out, and it's their race to lose. It's going to be one of those guys. But I do like the call that these guys made, pitting earlier instead of going as far as they could and that, and running the tank out, because now they got on pit road. There's only a couple of them, so there wasn't a bunch of chaos trying to get on pit road. They're already done with their stop, so if there is a caution, they can stay out. They're up front, and they get their track position back. And what we saw in the last green flag cycle, that group that pitted first kind of cycled their way forward, so they've got time to build that momentum back up. And when some of these other cars pit, they'll already be up to not just full speed, but they're going to have a couple laps worth of momentum with them. So I think that was a really good call on their part.
Yeah, I think the strategy has worked out for these guys, but here comes Liam Sheen and Jeff Ward and company. Tyler Hensley. Oh no, the 22 is going to get hammered, and there's going to be a crash on the front. Straight away, the caution comes out with 6 laps to go, and everything we just said goes out the window. It's going to be a green-white checkered or close to it as Brandon Key gets clobbered in the tri-oval.
I think this should actually just be a normal...
Yeah, it should be. We should be about 3 laps to go,
yeah.
But it could be a 2-lapper, which would make this a green-white checker. Let's go back and see what happened. I saw the 22 slow in the middle of the pack. I think he tried to get to pit lane, but it was just far too late. Let's go. Oh, yeah, this was just a disaster here. And what such a good race for the 22. He sees these cars hit pit lane. I think he wants to follow, but he just stops in the middle of the track, Finian. Yeah, and the 71 of Guile Brooks and the 02 Matt Hollabaugh. That's so frustrating for them. They just, you can't slow down in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, that was a really, really big mistake by Brandon Key there.
Yeah, disastrous mistake. And that's just something you can't afford to do. And unfortunately for a couple other drivers, it caught them out as well. But again, such a good run for the 22 car, and it ends in what will be a disastrous result for Brandon Key. Yeah,
just as we were saying, that group that pitted, those 4 cars that pitted a couple laps ago, their pit stop is done, so they can stay out here. Everybody else has to come back down pit road. And the other thing here, Carl Schaff, Liam Sheen, and Jeff Ward, they were, I think the caution came out before they actually got on pit road, and they all came down and I believe made their pit stop, so they might get a penalty for entering a closed pit.
Oh.
Tyler Hensley stayed out, so that could be an interesting shakeup as well.
Oh boy. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out here in just a moment. Right now, Guile Brooks leads the way, and I don't know how much damage Guile looks okay damage-wise.
Yeah,
I thought there would have been more.
I think he actually got pretty lucky as far as internet-wise. I think he was able to avoid damage.
John Poole staying out. So
yeah, this threw the entire order out of balance, which I like.
Yeah, I do like this, and now we're going to have a great finish here for sure. But now, the 54, Martinez, did he come to pit lane? I think he did. And so that tells me, I think maybe worried about a green-white checkered situation.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move, especially considering, again, he was running in the front, so he's not going to lose a whole lot just coming in, getting a quick splash of fuel, and getting back out on his merry way.
So, all right, so Riley Thompson and Hayden Pistorius come out 15th and 16th, so they'll be able to line up next to each other for the restart, and I imagine they will hook up as quick as they can to try to rocket to the front. John Poole maybe banking on just one attempt at this green-white checkered. That's risky, but if it works, it works.
Honestly, again, what I see from a lot of these guys like Guile Brooks, John Poole, John Rodman, these guys are just kind of going for the win. Might as well risk something, right?
Absolutely. All right, so again, this race is 76 laps. We've completed 71 of them. When we go back green, it'll be under 3 minutes of racing left to go here. This is going to... also, I guess I should ask this, Thomas. What about tires? Do you think tires will help, hurt? What would have been the choice there? Fuel only on the stop?
Probably. If anything, I would have maybe just gone with 2 tires. That would have been as much as I think, I would have done. Because the cars have, tires matter, I think, obviously still on these, on these plate tracks. But, when we only have a couple laps here probably, to the end of the race, it's not going to make a huge difference. I think if we had a longer, run ahead of us, I think definitely it would have been a good idea to come get 4 maybe even. But I think even if you just took a splash and didn't take tires, you probably will be okay. But it'll definitely, add a little more stability to the car than just being out there on old tires.
So coming back to 4 laps ago, our race information so far, we've had 2 cautions. 32 lead changes in our 72 laps. It's almost 1 lead change every 2 laps. And I expect we're going to see a few more before the end. Norm Pelletier 4th, Hensley 5th, Nick Cohan in 6th. Really worked out for those Toyota teammates, and they'll get a chance to run for a win here. Evan Adams in 9th, Mitch Welker in 10th. We have not seen a whole lot out of him yet today. I expect the aggression level for Welker especially will turn up here in just a short while.
Yeah, indeed. I'm still waiting for this new order, I think, to get sorted out. But yeah, I imagine a lot of these guys that really are just kind of here for the fun and games. They're really going to turn up the aggression here. We're coming down to very few laps to go. I think we're going to get through here.
Evan Adams, as Thomas mentioned, down on pit lane in his Ford EcoBoost sponsor number 59. And maybe just hoping for absolute carnage at the end to just walk right on through it. That's always a possibility. Remember back at the beginning of the year, back the 3 Wide Racing League's race at Talladega, the driver that was in 10th on the white flag won the race. So even if you're in the front, I don't think you're guaranteed anything on this last lap.
It looks like we're going to get 2 laps to go instead of 3.
So will this count as a green-white checkered officially?
I don't think it should.
I don't know if it will.
We are still inside the scheduled distance, so it shouldn't. And also, I'm getting confirmation that the 89, the 53, and the 3 did, in fact, get a penalty there. So the caution was out before they hit pit road. So, as we were thinking 89 was going to be someone that could win this race, and now he's going to find himself way in the back of the field. And now he's got to hope maybe for another caution to kind of leapfrog some lapped cars to get back in it.
Fortunately for him, though, not so much the 3 and the 53. Of Shaft and Sheen, but Ward, he has a win, doesn't have to worry about it. So I mean, again, he's just out here kind of points racing, so it's not a big deficit to him. But for these guys going for the win, like Sheen, he's got to hope that a lot of people bin it on this restart.
Well, I feel for Sheen because he had I want to say a dominant performance, but he was certainly a driver that could have and probably should have won this race. And to have the caution come out right as they're entering, I mean, there is a point of no return, and it's frustrating because sometimes it's difficult to make that last-minute move to get off a pit lane. So he had to eat that penalty. We'll restart all the way back in 31st position.
And also another thing to remember, too, is that if we do end up going to green-white checkers, we have unlimited attempts as long as time allows. I'm not sure how much time is remaining in the server. Bressy, if you can give us an update on that.
We have a little over 20 minutes, so we have plenty of time for carnage.
Now, that being said, these cautions aren't super short, but I don't think we're going to have enough cars to get past 3 or 4 yellow flags here. So I also generally...
But there's definitely going to be... There's a chance for a few. So
yes.
Some of these guys that have stayed out, they might be...
I will say this, is that this year, this Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series group has been phenomenal in high-pressure, high-intensity situations. Remember back to Daytona? That race was wild and didn't have a whole lot of yellows. Michigan, the season opener, had a couple yellows, but ran almost 5 wide to the checkers there. And Talladega, we only had 2 cautions in 73 laps. The trends are telling me that this might be really our one go at this year. I don't think we're going to get a green-white checker, but if we do, it's going to really shake some things up. So the lights have not gone out of the pace car, so this will be a green-white checkered.
A lot of pace laps.
Well, it's Talladega. We were at Michigan the other day or in Indy, and the pace lap, the cautions are like 2 laps, and here they drag them out forever.
Oh, so this looks like it'll be our first attempt at a green-white checker.
And we'll extend the distance by 1 lap. He heard the 11 shut off the motor.
I'm sure these guys aren't happy to hear that, because if anything, they got 1 bullet left in the gun for this restart, and they're going to have to save yet another lap.
Yeah, you see the RPM dropping down to basically 0 here for John Poole, shutting off the engine, clutching in, trying to save every little bit of fuel. Not what the 11 needed. And I think Kyle Brooks is in the same situation as well. So they really needed this to go green last time by. We're going to go extra 2.6 miles. That's the other thing to consider. This is the longest track NASCAR runs on. If you run out of fuel, it's a long way around back to pit lane. So at that point, your race is over anyway. So, you know, at a track like Martinsville, you got 2 laps to go. You're probably going to be okay on fuel, even if you're a little short. But at Talladega, a lap short is 2.66 miles. That's a long time. And he's riding the apron as well. He's trying to save as much fuel as he can. And John Poole's night tonight started in 6th, running in 2nd. And really hasn't dropped out from the top 10 so far tonight. He's led 2 laps. Let's see. 197.226 miles an hour. One of the faster lap times we've seen. 48.430. The fastest one I'm trying to see who's we're broken into the 47s, and they did, and I think it is the only car that broke into the 47s that is still running at the very least is Carl Schaff in the number 3 car. almost
Yeah.
eclipsing 200 miles an hour, 199.417 average speed over the course of 2.66 miles. So
Yeah, that's an amazing lap, and not many people are even close to that.
there is a couple cars that ran a little bit. Actually, one car that ran faster. That was Tyler Dulger in the 88, who ran a 47.881 at 199.488 miles an hour. Of course, he is crashed out and done for the night. All right, hopefully we get the lights off the pace car this time through, and it looks like we will. Green, white, checkered, number 1. 2 laps to go next time by 77, actually it'll be 78 laps, the run we have to complete by the end of this race. This is going to be, is that right? 77 laps is what we'll be running to at the end here. Doubling back up. I'm looking, and I don't see a whole lot of friends. The only ones I do see, the 56, the 21, the 30... Actually, okay, I lied. The Toyota teammates.
They're
all inside the top 10 and looking really strong. Predictions, Finian?
I honestly have nothing for this. Even with them so aligned, again, they have to get going, and they're not completely in the lead, so they got some traffic to work through. So
Thomas, predictions?
Chaos.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go with that.
I don't know. We got teammates up here. There's guys that, their playoff hopes might depend on this. There's guys up here that are on different strategies. I don't know, man. This is...
Yeah, and there's also guys that don't care how this ends up, and they're just kind of gunning for it. So those are some of the most dangerous drivers.
Well, the other thing we have to consider is that there's a couple cars up here. We don't know if they can make it to the end on fuel. If they run out in the middle of the pack, we can have a huge pile up here. And we've got, looks like we have 33 cars on the lead lap and competing for the win. And how about Casey Lakatos sticking it out back on the lead lap? He'll restart 26. We'll see how many spots he can gain in the last 2 laps here.
Yeah, that was a big gain for him. He's waiting patiently the entire race to get that caution, and finally came out. Probably later than he would have liked, but came out nonetheless.
His teammate Alec Martinez will restart back in 11th place. And coming out of turn 4, it's going to be about 5.2 miles to the end of the Alabama 200 here at Talladega. The Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series next week. The Fuel Finals loom on the horizon after one more race at USA International Speedway. The last time we were there, it was drama-filled, and there was a lot of discussion post-race, a lot of fists flying, just like they were at Richmond 2 weeks ago. With 2 laps left, Gael Brooks on the front row with John Poole, John Rodden, Norm Pelletier, Tyler Hensley, your top 5. Who's going to win it at Talladega? Here we go. Over our scheduled distance, the first of an infinite amount of tries at a green-white checker. Green flag flies and some wheel spin for the leaders.
Guys, all the tires, a little bit of wheel spin, but we're still going green here between the 71 and the 11. It's a drag race down into turn 1.
3 wide in the mid-pack. Mitch Welker up the middle. He's got the 19 of Pistorius tucked in behind him. That's the 2 of Calvin Flarsky on the outside, but down the back straightaway, here comes the 11 up the middle, and on the outside, boy. Norm Pelletier with a huge shot from the 21.
And look at that train of Disney Motorsports, the 56, the 21, the 28, a freight train around the outside. They take the lead of this race easily.
Norm Pelletier to the top spot with help from the 21, 3 wide behind him. 3 by 3 by 3 in the middle of the pack, but Pelletier in the number 56 Toyota leads the way, coming back to the white. If they get there, this race will finish. Check up out of turn 4. The 21, the 71 get together. 3 wide for the top spot. White flag flies. Can they get there? Crash behind him. The 71 turns. Caution.
They didn't make it.
Big crash in the middle of the pack. There's 54 in it. The 32's in it. Big crash behind him. And our second green-white checker of the night as they pile up in the tri-oval.
Well, they ain't over till it's over. This is exactly what happened at Kansas. Earlier in the week.
Alec Martinez totaled in the 54. A bunch of cars torn up. Tyler Hensley, I think, is in it. Oh, he's all sorts of torn up.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him after having a great run all night long.
Wow, this was a big mess on the front straightaway. Let's look back. It started...
Actually, let's look in the starter cam. I want to see how close this was here.
Yeah, so here's the crash in the background, and the yellow flag, as soon as that comes out, only 100 yards.
Yeah, that was close.
As they came sliding across the start-finish line. And how did this even start? It's hard to even tell who spun out first. I know the 44 got probably one of the worst ends of the deal. There's a 71 of Gael Brooks that was first sideways.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so many cars. We gotta go to this in slow motion here. I can't even keep up with what's going on. So the 71, I think, was the first car I saw sideways.
Yeah. This started with a block from Nick Cohen to push the 71 out of the lane.
And the 21's gonna come back down. And was there contact beyond this? So let's see how this. The 28's gonna get into the 71. The 71 pulls down. And the 28 and 44 get into the side of the 71, turns him sideways, and then watch Tyler Hensley here. He's going to get hooked. The 11 and 54 get caught up together. And the 44 is going to get right hooked into the fence by the 28. And for Hensley, a massive hit. Look at Martinez getting air into the safer barrier. And looks like Filarski and Borst are in it. And Shane Ewing almost made it through.
Yeah, he just got clipped by Martinez, and into the wall he went. Actually.
He's still running 8th right now. I don't think he hit a whole lot. Casey Lakatos locked it down. I think that he managed to escape without damage. I think he did. But here's another look at this. I want to watch the 54 as he clobbers the wall here in slow motion as we run these really long caution flags. No updates right now on positions just yet. We'll let everyone get pitted and fix their cars before we update you on positions. But you'll see the 44s can get hooked, but the 54 and the 11 get together. And right here, there's really nowhere you can go. He tries to shoot this gap. 11 gets turned sideways, and right here is where all hell breaks loose for Alec Martinez. And he's all but locked into the finals based on points, but this is certainly not going to help. Right here, airborne and underside of the car hits the safer barrier. And the 2 of Filarski goes around.
Yeah, and actually going back to Shane
Look
Ewing,
at Mitch Welker.
Yeah, he barely avoided in his car, but if we can go to the 32 of Shane Ewing, we were talking about him narrowly avoiding this. He barely got clipped by the 54 of Alec Martinez.
There's the onboard from the 32.
Yeah. I thought he made it through and just got clipped.
And a nice, smooth impact with the outside wall. He'll continue right on board the 50 of Casey Lakatos as he came on through. Big smoke cloud. You shoot for the bottom of the racetrack. You're going to lock up the tires. He actually gets hit from behind.
Oh.
And got clobbered in the rear end, but came to a stop and avoided most of it. A couple other drivers in the middle of it. Liam Sheen was trying to miss this. Let's see if he gets through. Throttles right through the middle of it. Look at this. Wow, the 89 of Jeff Ford came piling in there. Caught in the 10 car. There's Martinez. And whoa! Liam Sheen has been doing an excellent job and had to avoid the pace car there at the end as well. All right, well, we torn up a bunch of race cars. We'll update you on some of them now. Liam Sheen is up to 18th in that 53. Casey Lakatos, I think he came down to pit lane, is currently 26th. John Borson, the 86, is still running. That car is destroyed. He's 28th. Brandon Key, 30th. Calvin Filarski back in 31st.
I think they made the pit stops yet.
Don't know if they have or not. Let's take a gander here. They have. At least the drivers that were involved in the wreck have come down and pit.
Oh.
All right, well, let's see who survived it. Norm Pelletier at the front of the field. Nick Cohan in the 21. John Rodden, Fambro, Poole, Pistorius, Thompson, Ewing, Weaver, and Welker, your top 10.
There is no way Poole has enough fuel to make it to the end of this.
I can't believe that, well, he's been out for 32 laps. There's no way. He's got to come down pit lane. There's no way. Derek Castor in the 08. We have not talked about him all night.
Yeah.
And here he is in 12th. What a run for him. Steve Herring, same thing. Started 36th. Got that rear end, looked like someone took a bite out of it. And currently sits 13th. John Wilco in 14th. Jared Dixon, remember, he was turned around sideways on pit lane. Don Runkle Jr., the 00.
Alva knows this pretty bastion.
I've seen Scott Taylor, another driver we haven't talked about. He's 19th right now. And that car looks pretty clean, all things considered. Not a scratch on that thing. So Pelletier leads the way, and what a power move those Toyotas had to move around the outside. And they were only about 100 yards away from collecting a checkered flag, potentially. Yeah. And just the caution kind of halting that strategy.
Well, now they lost a few men in that, and while they're going to be first and second, it's going to be a lot harder for them to kind of line up and get going. They pretty much got everyone else in behind us. I think it's really going to be all-out brawl to the finish for now.
I can't I mean, Poole's been out here for 32 laps. I know he's had some cautions to save fuel. I just don't see how this could go any farther. Thomas, I mean, should the 11 pit here? I mean, if you run out of gas, you're going to finish dead last anyway, so why don't you come down, get some fuel, and just try to make up some spots?
I mean, he is one of those guys that's one-offing this race, I believe, so what's there to lose, I guess? I mean, I would, if we get another restart, yes, he's absolutely going to have to come down pit road, but we've had this caution, we had the previous caution, so I think there's definitely time, especially around this racetrack, under caution to save fuel. So yeah, he's past that 30-31 that we were talking about, but that's under green. So he's probably got a couple more. He might have just enough. It'll be close for sure, but I think if we get another green white checkered, absolutely he's going to need to come down pit road. But you got nothing to lose. Why not stay out?
Pace car's lights still on at the moment. This race was originally scheduled to be just over 200 miles. It's now 217.6.
I quite enjoy how this continues to climb up as it goes.
Yeah, so that added another 16 miles on what was expected to be run. Again, originally 76 laps, now it's 82. This goes to show you, for the fuel situation, each lap adds another 2.6 on that. So that just tells you John Poole is not liking these long yellow flag procedures. We take a look at the manufacturers inside the top 15. It's 4 Toyotas, then 2 Camaros, then a Ford, then a Toyota, Camaro, Mustang, Camaro, Mustang, your top 15. But if you're wearing the Toyota decal on the nose of your car, you're in good company right now, at least inside the top 5.
I see Jason Rollward swerving off of track in the background, 17. Not sure where.
It might be just bored.
Don't
he should be used to yellow flags. He drives in the Global MX-5 series.
Shots fired.
I joke, but relatively successful season in the MX-5 series from what I understand, and hopefully he'll be back doing that next year. Robillard Racing also in the LMP3 category in IMSA, and I know they had at least one victory with Stephen McAleer at the wheel of that car.
I was talking with Jackson. He's not entirely sure what he's doing next year yet, but he hopes to
join Tomo in TCR.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh, it's also Tomo's birthday today. He turns 28. So happy birthday, Tomo Gorman. Turns 28 today. I honestly, I hope he's probably not watching this. But I was gonna say he doesn't seem 28. He seems like 24, 25.
Yeah.
Don't I said that. At what point, Thomas? At what point would you feel like, what's the word? How am I trying to say this?
I have no clue what you're trying to
say. At what point does saying someone's older become offensive? I mean,
I'm only 21, so I'm not quite there yet. I don't really know. I don't really have an answer for you on that one. I mean, I guess it's still something to celebrate, right? Regardless of how old you are.
Right. Even if you're 105.
Yeah, no, that you celebrate. Of course you do.
All right. Hey, 1 to green. Finally time to go racing again. And here's our updated race distance. 220.2 miles. A full 19 miles more than we were scheduled to run. And I'm thinking this may not be all we have. Now that we've started seeing the yellows at the end of the race, I don't think we're quite done yet. Norm Pelletier on the outside. He's lined up with Fambro in the 5, and Nick Cohan is scored in 2nd. He's going to line up on the bottom of the racetrack.
Primetime racing TV when they're 30.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, I guess Tomo, I got 2 more years for Tomo before it gets offensive calling him older than he is. Hey, also, I got to say that that Tomo Gorman, I know it's his birthday today, but he's been a really cool dude so far this year. I got to meet him at Grid Life Midwest, got to co-commentate with him, and then I visited him at Watkins Glen when he ran TCR there. Had kind of not a great day there, ended up finishing 5th after a bunch of drama, but of course, not quite a championship in TCR and IMSA this year, but very close. Very talented driver. Hope he gets another shot next year. I think, from my understanding, he's returning to LA Honda World Racing in TCR, so very excited for that effort there. We got a race to finish up here tonight, though, and it'll take us about 3 or 4 minutes to complete it if everything goes green. Going to be difficult to pass Pelletier and Cohan, but Pistorius and Thompson. Thomas, you were mentioning these guys earlier, restarting 6th and 7th. What are the chances these guys rocket up there and take the spot away?
I mean, honestly, yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think those are your guys to watch, because I think, especially with the 56 taking the outside, those guys worked that restart the last time. They kind of laid back a little bit so they had time to build that run, and that's why they were able to blow by everybody on the outside. So I think they're probably going to try and get in line and cover the bottom to the best of their ability. So I think it's going to be really important to watch how that top lane forms up for this restart.
All right, here we go. Lap number 82 of 83. 2 laps to go on our second green-white checker. Remember, we have unlimited attempts. If the leader makes it back to the white flag, we will finish this race. If we crash before the white flag, we will start over and do it again. 2 laps to go in the Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series. Next week, we conclude the regular season at USA International, but 2 more laps at Talladega. Green flag back in the air.
Racing 56 and the 21 plan that start out in perfection. They're getting themselves sorted out single file and trying to work their way to the front. Racing the 33 and the 19 looks like they're getting hooked up for a run.
Yeah, Fambro did not get a very good restart. And now the 33 and 19 are going to get a big run onto the back straightaway now. The 21 and 56 lined up on the bottom of the racetrack. John Rodden swings to the outside lane. The 56 goes to protect, waving and sliding all over the back straightaway. Turns the 21.
No.
Cohan sideways and sliding wildly out of control into the fence. Will stay green as Pelletier is going to lead them back to the white flag. Can we get there?
Someone new's going to win this race, I can definitely tell you that. Here they come out at turn 4. Starter's got the white flag in hand for the second time tonight. Will they make it back, though?
No winners in this series this season are in this front group. White flag flies. 1 more lap.
The 19 and the 58, they're hooked up on the bottom, but they got the 56 right in front of them. Here comes Fambro and Rodden on the outside, however. Can they get hooked up and move?
John Rodden with a big push from Fambro in the number 5. But here come the TDR teammates, Pistorius and Thompson with a big run down the back straight. Can they get something done?
Let's see there. I think they're clear on the outside lane. They might pull out here to have a run. Actually, I lied a little bit about there being no winners. I see Jeff Ward lurking in the background.
I don't think it's going to be enough. Liam Sheen's there as well. But the 19 and 58 lined up behind Pelletier through 3 and 4. Coming back to the checkered. Here they come out of turn 4. The 19 pops out of line. The 56 to the inside. Gonna split them 3 wide of the checkers. Who gets here first? Crashing, spinning. The 56 out of control. Is gonna collect him at the line.
Oh,
Crashing,
and it's
Liam
spinning.
Sheen.
No, I
Who
think
gets
Ward
it?
won it.
Jeff Ward. Who got it?
Ward won it.
Jeff Ward by 10 thousandths of a second.
Oh, man.
How did he do that?
Oh, no.
And a pile up at the finish.
Oh.
What even? I don't even know how to. What?
And yeah, and remember how I said I lied? How there was one person that's won so far this season still in the field.
What even?
We thought
how?
he didn't have a chance going into 3, but had it across the line by 10
I
hundredths
don't
of a second.
believe that.
1/100th of a second, 10,000th of a second.
How did he do that?
Oh man!
Apparently Moses is driving the 89 car. Oh, now.
We will look at replays here shortly. But Jeff Ward, by 10 thousandths of a second over Liam Sheen, sideways across the line. Pistorius in 4th. The 58 scored 8th as they came to the checkers. What a finish, Jeff Ward. I said that there was no cars in that front group that have won a race this season. Well, there was one of them in there, and it was Jeff Ward, and that car no longer, I guess, is going to pass inspection. But Ward wins at Talladega.
I thought he was further on back in the pack, but I just saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, you started him on a run. Didn't think you would be able to win this, but look at that.
Wow.
Liam Sheen almost won with his trunk.
He was like 10th out of turn 4 and came sliding across. I thought he had it for a minute.
Yeah.
We're going to go back and look at it, but it's going to be one of the most insane photo finishes I think SimTV has ever seen. Wow. And here's your race review. 83 laps of a 76-lap race. 70 of those green flag. 35 lead changes. As we roll through the unofficial results, we were going to go back in just a moment and take a look at that insane last lap, last corner change of events. The 21 car of Nick Cohan was turned on the back straightaway. He finishes 33rd. That's a huge disappointment for Cohan, but no worries for him. He is already locked into the Fuel Finals. Let's go back and take a look at that last lap. Those last couple moments there coming to the checkers. Have you ever
Yeah, I have never seen that. Seeing 10
my
cars come flying
goodness.
across the line.
Okay, we're gonna look at this in ultra slow motion. Here's a look at this.
And look at in frame how far back Jeff Ward is to the
Jeff
leaders.
Ward is like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th?
Yeah,
coming to the checkers
He passed
here.
9 cars.
We're 5 wide here for a moment.
He
At
passed
56.
9 cars at the exit of the trioval.
Oh my goodness! And here comes Jeff Ward as they all. This is. I mean, we're 8 wide.
Yeah, the entire track is blocked. Liam
53,
Sheen almost made
almost
it on
through it. Oh, that's such a heartbreaker. Look at this. Have you ever?
And just drive. I want to see it from that.
Oh my goodness!
The start finish cam that I have set up.
The photo finish cam.
Yeah, the photo finish cam. Yeah.
Here we go. Let's take a look as they
This is
came
gonna
across the line.
This is gonna be
This
entertaining.
is a screenshot for sure.
Wait for it.
And as they slide across, I thought the 53 had it.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. Hold on. We got to get a better look at this here. I got to get this right because I can't pause off a slow motion. Oh, I missed it. Hold on. We're gonna do this. They came across so fast. Okay, we got to go frame by frame.
You might want to turn that off.
I'm going to turn this off real quick. Here we go. This is your winning margin. I mean, seriously.
There's almost no cars facing the right direction other than Ward and Mitchell Walker in the background. Everyone else is...
That's half the fun, though, right?
Okay, so we had 6 cars within a 1/10.5 of a second. I mean, this is probably one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen ever. We're gonna look at this again as they came to the checkers, the 89's view in slow motion. We're gonna talk to your winner in just a moment.
Yeah, someone called Moses because the season parted.
I mean, we're 8 cars wide. The 08 tumbling, and right here the 53 gets tagged, and the 89 almost made the 53 win, but Mitch Welker ended up finishing 6th after all that. Let's look at it again at full speed coming to the checkers. I didn't think there was any way that this 89 could have won that race. Wow. All right. That's going to do it for us for just now, but we're not done yet. We're going to join our race winner, Jeff Ward, Liam Sheen, and others in just a moment. Stay with us. We will be right back. Oh, wait. Before we go,
What?
Unofficial results. The race finish is under review. I don't know why, but we're going to find out. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
4 teams will leave here tonight with a shot at history.
A lot of drivers have a lot on the line tonight, and really it's anyone's game to win.
We are racing Xbox One drivers at Homestead Miami Speedway.
He has the newer tires though, he should be able to drive around. What a battle for the lead we have here on the final lap. Can they make enough fuel?
And now he's challenging for the lead.
You can only race this long until someone slips up.
This is coming down to the wire. Contact all sorts up and down this field down the front straightaway. It's Levine Family Gaming and the Bear taking home the win.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We will take you behind the scenes.
It's just a meathead.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, historic races, and thousands of on-demand videos. The Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the greatest video coverage.
Welcome back live to SimTV, here now with Norm Pelletier, who finished 5th after coming back to the white flag, leading this race. Norm, you were hooked up with your teammate. He got turned. Just talk to us about that chaotic last couple laps and what you could see out of your mirror.
Well, I was hoping to see the field out of my mirror, but that didn't end up working. But it was just, we knew there was going to be a mess after the green-white checker. When we pitted, me, the 28, and the 32, we all pitted, and we knew that if a caution came out, we'd be up. And it worked out, but the whole multiple green-white checkers thing I knew was going to throw a wrench into the play.
On a restart with so few laps to go, is there any way that you can coordinate anything, or is it just every man for himself with 2 laps to go on a restart like that?
I think the first green-white checker we had pretty good. Nick and I, we planned that we were just going to shoot up into the third lane and just pass everybody, and it worked out. And we got a little too far ahead, but I think we'd be able to hold them off at least to the white flag. But that last one, starting first place, I had no idea what was going to happen. I could slow them down as much as I could, but coming out of 4, I knew it was going to be checkers or wreckers.
I know that's still under discussion, but talking about that yellow line situation, what are your thoughts on that, and do you think anything should be changed as a result of that?
I don't really know how you're going to change it. I mean, to dock a couple guys finishing positions would be the harshest and really only way to deal with that. And I don't want to make that call, but I know I obviously got spun by somebody going under the yellow line, whether it was intentional or not. I don't know. I don't think he needed to, but you're coming to the final and coming to the checkered flag, you're third place racing for the lead. You got to do what you got to do. But it was just a gaggle. I watched the replay 3 or 4 times, and I don't know what I would have done differently. And the guys behind me, I don't know what they could have done differently.
All right, Norm Pelletier, so close, 100 yards away from a victory here in the Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series. 0.156 seconds short in 5th. Norm, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Moving on now to the next driver. That'll be, I think we got Hayden Pistorius in with us now. Hayden, coming to the checkers, dramatic last couple moments. A 4th place finish, but almost had a victory in your grasp there. Talk to us about coming back to the checkers and your decision to split out to the inside and potentially go below that yellow line.
That was actually the one on the outside.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong car, but you just walk us through that last turn 4 incident there.
Well, I told Riley at the going up high, coming on turn 4. We always work together. We've done this several times. And I guess at this point he didn't want to work with me, and it's perfectly fine. I understand we're going for a win. But it's just disappointing being that close to a win and just have it taken away like that.
Speaking about Talladega, obviously it always ends up in a chaotic fashion. So I asked Norm the same question. So to be clear, was there a plan for you guys to work together or coming back to the checkers, or were you guys just kind of every man for himself once that green flag waved?
Well, we normally always have a plan no matter where we are. It could be somewhere like Michigan, anywhere throughout the schedule, but we did come into this race knowing that we were going to work together, but apparently all bets were off coming out of turn 4, which that happens a lot. So,
all right, Hayden. Hey, well, I know it wasn't exactly the result you were looking for, but still a 4th place finish at Talladega. Not shabby at all. So, Hayden, congratulations on a top 5 result, and we'll see you next week at USA.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Moving on next to, I think we got Colin Fambro in here now in the number 5 car. Colin, a 3rd place result, 80 thousandths away from a checkered flag here. Talk to us what you saw coming out of turn 4 on that last lap.
I knew it was going to get a little wild, but I mean, these finishes typically end up that way at Talladega. So, I mean, you're just hoping you can avoid it. You're trying to get in a good line and hoping you can make it to the finish line. In this case, I don't know that anybody made it to the finish line clean.
Obviously, your starting position recorded is 35th. Your finish is 3rd. So, you know, who'd you work with today to get yourself into this position? Because I think teammates were important for a lot of people, but coming back to the checkers, we're hearing not a lot of teamwork going on. So how'd you get yourself from 35th to 3rd and finally catch that checkered flag or in that position without a whole lot of help from teammates tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually lucky with that caution there with a few laps to go. I was got caught up in that second pack, didn't get off pit road very well. I'm not sure if people ahead of me took 2 tires or fuel only or what happened there, but we ended up way back, and that caution helped us out a lot. So, and then after that, you're talking about just a handful of laps to go. So you just kind of go where there's space.
All right, Colin Fambro, third in the number 5 car tonight. Colin, thanks for talking to us. Congrats on a P3. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. Moving on now to second place finisher, Liam Sheen. Liam, a heartbreaker tonight. You were leading the race, got caught out on that caution where you had that penalty to put you at the back of the field. You worked your way all the way back up. The chaos in front of you coming out of turn 4. You thought you might have had it, back it up to the finish line. Just walk us through what you could see out of your car coming to the checkers, and what your mind was thinking as you crossed that line.
I was shoving the 89 all the way up there. I mean, me and him were working really well together before the first wreck happened on the green-white checkered, and we were working really well. So I got him a good boost up to turn 4, up to the pack, and the 56, I guess, got wrecked by the 58 at the line. So I dipped below the line to avoid it, and then I guess the 11 cut across my nose or something, and I thought I had it. I thought I had it. When I got a boost from Jeff after that, he hit me in the side, and I got a giant boost across the line and just barely lost it. It just it sucks.
Obviously, a one-off event for you. Nothing for you to really lose, not in playoff contention or anything. So how did you approach this race? We saw you drop out towards the rear of the field early on. Was that just to be careful? And was that your thought the whole race was to stay out of trouble, or are you willing to be more aggressive towards the middle of the race?
Thing is, I've run in fuel prior to this season, but I haven't raced them on a plate track at all, so I wasn't really sure how everyone was going to race. So I was just chilling out with Evan Adams and Jared Dixon at the back, and I decided, all right, after these pit stops, we were going to try to make a push to go up to the front, and we got the lead. And I thought that our strategy there was going to win us the race, and unfortunately, we finished second.
A second place for Liam Sheen, only 10 thousandths off of a victory with the rear bumper crossing the line before the front. Liam, so close to getting a victory here. That would have been a spectacular win, but a second place, not too bad after all the chaos at the end. Congratulations on that, and hopefully we'll see you around again in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll move on finally now to our race winner, Jeff Ward, who finally joins us in the booth. Jeff, out of turn 4, I think you were 8th or 9th, breaking through as the seas parted, coming back to the checkered flag. Talks about what you saw, and did you think you even had a shot coming to the checkers?
No, Cal, I didn't. We restarted 28th place, a couple of restarts before that, and if it was, I got to give a shout out to Liam in the 53 car. I haven't raced with him a lot, but he pushed the hell out of me, and we kind of made some seams to get back up there and get in position for that last restart. That's wow, man, that's the most unbelievable finish I've ever been a part of. I just keep playing it back and looking at it, and that's pretty wild. And there's a lot of controversy with guys going below the yellow. I seen the guys wrecking, so I went down there, just out of instinct to keep from driving into a 15 car pile up there, and was able to squeak through there and I get the win. Like I said, that's crazy, and we'll take it any way we can get it, especially at a plate track.
It seems like you're hitting a hot streak right before we head to the Fuel Finals here in a couple weeks. Next week we head to a short track. Your thoughts on USA International? How do you think you'll perform there?
I've never drove a cup car there, so it's going to be interesting. I like it when it comes to late models and modifieds and stuff. So if it's not a total, if it's not a bunch of cautions and a bad show, then it should be fun and some good racing potentially. But yeah, you never know. We've had some consistency here, which is what we need, and that's what it's all about when it comes to trying to compete for a title. So hopefully we keep the momentum going, get out of USA alive, and go into a homestead here soon.
All right, Jeff Ward, victorious here tonight at Talladega after a wild multi-car pileup at the start-finish line. Jeff, thanks for talking to us. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
Absolutely. All right, Finian. Well, that was pretty crazy to say the least. Here's one last look at your race results before we head off for the night. Brian Chambliss, of course, the first to go in a list of cars tonight, crashed off the exit of turn number 2. But I want to talk more about that finish again, obviously. A chaotic end, but Liam Sheen so close. I thought he had one of the best runs tonight of anybody and just missed it by 10,000ths of a second.
Yeah, no, I mean, just looking at the entire top 10, there was a shot for first-time winner this season. And, of course, the one guy who already has won a race ended up winning it. And nothing against Jeff at all. I was just saying that we were so close to getting it. And, again, we thought that we were going to definitely get a first-time winner out of that pack. But somehow, by some sheer amount of luck, and it honestly is just pure luck that he chose the right line, the gap opened up where exactly he needed to. And the fact that he won by 10,000ths of a second is a miracle, but yeah, he managed to still somehow get it done.
Thomas, a chaotic end of the race. Your thoughts on not only the finish, but also the yellow line controversy. What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely some discussion with that yellow line and how I think that wreck got started. I think is part of what's being looked at, but I mean, it's so tricky to. I mean, just going back and looking at it while you guys were interviewing people, I mean, we're talking about a matter of inches of did somebody get forced below the line, or was the whole, like, the door closed, or it's really hard to judge. I'm glad I'm not the one that has to make that decision. That's where I sit on that. But I mean, either way, we still had a great race. There were a lot of guys that were super impressive, had fantastic runs tonight. And kind of looking at the playoff picture as well, Colin Fambrough, he finished 3rd. And I mean, he was like about almost a full race back from the playoff cut line going into tonight. And now he's, I believe, the last one in on points. So next week should be pretty close.
Absolutely, and Hayden Pistorius got those halfway points, also finished 4th. So that's going to be a great result for him. And a couple other drivers scoring some much-needed points as well. But that's going to do it for us tonight. A crazy, insane race at Talladega. Only a handful of yellows, but the last one setting up for a 8-wide crash to the finish line. A wild race. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it before, with the winner coming across the line forward, the second place driver 10,000ths behind, reversing across the line at almost 200 miles an hour. That's going to do it for us tonight from SimTV. Thank you to Finian DeCuna for setting up the cameras, and for Thomas Pricey for joining us tonight. We'll see y'all next week at USA International to conclude the regular season and head towards the Fuel Finals and get our playoffs underway. Thanks so much for watching SimTV. We'll see you on tomorrow night, the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge on Winding Road Magazine. Then Thursday, the Fuel IndyCar Series from Kentucky. Then Saturday, ORL is off, I think, for this week. So we will be back on Sunday with some 3-wide Racing League action. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later.